Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll provide a review of my stock portfolio and the dividends I received during the month. I'll discuss any stocks I've bought or sold during the month, and I'll also discuss my income and expenditure for my rental property investment. My stock portfolio currently stands at £22,157.68 invested. Although I do look at the market value just purely out of interest, it doesn't really affect me if my portfolio is up or down, as it's my intention to never sell. I will sell shares to restructure the portfolio by selling one stock to then reinvest the proceeds into another, but I won't ever sell shares to take out of the portfolio. The reason my portfolio is down is quite straightforward to me. I invested the bulk of my cash in December 2019 and January 2020, so just before the big crash in March 2020. Obviously, no one could predict what was coming. But I did manage to invest a decent amount in March to try and offset some of this, but it was just bad luck really in terms of timing. The S&P 500 seems to have recovered well, but the FTSE 100, where a good portion of my portfolio comes from, still hasn't improved as much. I feel like a lot of people would try and hide this, but that's not something I want to do on this channel, and I'll be completely honest about everything here. If I was purely investing for capital growth, then obviously this would be a bad thing, but as a dividend investor, I'm more concerned with the cash flow into my portfolio, and the negative returns just give me a really good opportunity to buy future income at a discounted price. I do think that my portfolio will recover, either over time or through me averaging down on my positions. Like I've said before, this is a long-term process and market fluctuations are to be expected. There has been some movement in my total position this month as I invested a further £600 from my salary. My outgoings have been very low for the past few months, which has allowed me to invest this £600 and still have enough for general expenses and savings towards the third property. I bought one share of 3M for $158.68, bringing my total number of shares to 6. This gives me a cost per share of $152.60 and a yield on cost of 3.85%. I got 4 shares of AbbVie for an average cost of $85.67, giving me 11 shares in total. This gives me a cost per share of $83.53 and a yield on cost of 5.65%. I started a position in Apple by buying 2 shares for an average cost of $109.54. This gives me a yield on cost of 0.75%. I bought 4 shares of AT&T for an average cost of $28.33, bringing my total number of shares to 29. I have a cost per share of $32.15 and a yield on cost of 6.47%. I added 15 shares of BAE Systems for an average cost of £3.98. This makes it 89 shares in total and gives me a cost per share of £5.15. I have a yield on cost of 3.69%. I got 1 share of Diageo for £26.58. This gives me 15 shares in total, a cost per share of £28.61, and a yield on cost of 2.45%. I bought 14 shares of GlaxoSmithKline for an average cost of £14.21. This brings my total number of shares to 37 and gives me a cost per share of £15.54. I've got a yield on cost of 4.89%. I got 1 share of McDonald's for $225.58, which makes it 8 shares in total. I have a cost per share of $173.57 and a yield on cost of 2.97%. I added 2 shares of PepsiCo for an average cost of $137.21, bringing my total number of shares to 10. This gives me a cost per share of $133.02 and a yield on cost of 3.07%. I bought 1 share of Realty Income for $60.70, which means I have 16 shares in total now, and now have a cost per share of $57.03 and a yield on cost of 4.93%. I added 2 shares of Unilever for an average cost of £48.57, which brings my total number of shares to 14. This gives me a cost per share of £42.57 and a yield on cost of 3.52%. There were also some sales to restructure my portfolio. I'm the first to admit my portfolio has too many holdings in it, so I am looking to trim this down over the long term. A lot of the stocks I hold aren't bad stocks, but I've found that by having so many holdings, it was hard to allocate capital each month, and there were a lot of stocks that I haven't added to for a long time. So I just felt it would be better to reduce the number down to a more manageable number. So I sold 62 shares in Drax Group for an average of £3.04 per share. I sold 3 shares in Genuine Parts for an average of $101.45 per share. And I sold 8 shares in WestRock for an average of $39.90 per share. All of the proceeds from the sales were used towards funding the purchases this month. So after all of the buys and sells, this means that the overall yield for my portfolio as a whole sits at 3.97%, which equates to around £715 per year in predicted dividends, or £59.58 per month. This month I've actually received £39.25 in dividends from 11 different stocks. There's always going to be a discrepancy between my actual dividends received and my predicted dividends, just due to the timing of me purchasing the shares and being eligible through the ex-date of the dividends. So during October, the dividends I received were £8.61 from Coca-Cola, £5.10 from Diageo, £4.22 from Drax Group, which I've sold my entire position now, £4.14 from Federal Realty, £3.17 from Franklin Resources, £1.56 from Genuine Parts, who again I've sold the entire position, £3.04 from GlaxoSmithKline, £5.39 from PepsiCo, £2.30 from Realty Income, £1.24 from the Vanguard FTSE 100 ETF, and 48p from the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. This is down by £65.68 compared to last month's dividend total. However, as you can see from our 2020 chart, September was a bit of an anomaly, with it clearly being my best month ever. I'm averaging £40.60 per month for this calendar year in actual dividends, which I'm really happy with. The next goal is to hopefully push through the £50 per month average. This will take time though, and I know it's going to be a long-term process. As always, all dividends stay in the portfolio and are used to purchase more shares. My portfolio has earned a total of £405.98 in dividends since I made my first share purchase on the 17th of December 2019. By reinvesting the dividends, this has grown my portfolio from £21,751.70 to £22,157.68, which is a growth of around 1.87% so far. I expect this percentage to get larger over time as more dividends are received and then reinvested. Another one of my investments is a one-bedroom apartment in the city centre of a major city in the UK, which is currently tenanted, and I've been a landlord now for around 3 years. So how much did I make this month from the rental property? I received £700 in rental income this month, but there is always some expenditure associated with this. So how much did I spend this month? I spent £84 including VAT on the management fee of 10%. I spent £100 including VAT on a new electrical safety certificate and PAT test for the apartment. This just ensures that the electrics and appliances in the apartment are safe for the tenants. And then £230.61 was spent on the mortgage. So this leaves a total profit of £285.39 for the month of October. So if we total up my dividend income and my rental income, this gives me £324.64 in total. So what will I be doing with that? As mentioned previously, the dividends received will be reinvested back into the portfolio, and the rental income sits in a bank account where I manage the cash separately to my main bank account. This just allows the rental to basically sit as its own standalone entity within my finance. It makes tax returns much easier this way, and everything is contained in one bank account that relates to the property. I tend to just let the money build up to a certain point in that bank account. When I feel like I've got enough in there to act as a bit of an emergency fund, I tend to just pay a bit more of the mortgage off and just make overpayments, which brings down the monthly mortgage payment. So as I've only recently had a new tenant in, I feel like I do still need to build that position back up. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it interesting and informative, and I hope it's given you inspiration and ideas for your own personal finances. If you have, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.